Hello, hello. Hold on 1 minute. Hey, hello, hello everybody. Where am I? Hey, we are on air right now officially. Hello everybody. Welcome back to my program. Welcome back to my channel. I know I got lost. I got lost for nearly 2 weeks. It's a long story what was happening to me. Nothing serious. Don't imagine. Just last 2 weeks I was away. I went for family commitment to an island, and last week, it's like wicked. It's like the enemy wanted to fight me for you not to see me. Like how with the tiredness of the day defeating me and putting me knockouts. So both Friday evening and Saturday, because of my day's activities, I was uh, so such a thing that happened. Even now, even tonight, assuming if I had laid somewhere in a bed or in a couch, if I had laid my head somewhere, sleep sleep could come and carry me. You know, no, it's sometimes the activities of the day they take your energy. That is how is our nature is a nature. It's a human nature anyway. We are no machines. We are not made of woods. We are human beings. So yes, and I have just almost 2 weeks left because I'm soon going abroad for summer holidays. But I will be appearing anywhere I go. Excuse me. I'll be appearing with short videos for you not to forget my face. All right, because it's past 3 here in Greece. I'm sending you my greetings. It's past 3 here in Greece, and let's begin. Hmm. Let's begin. So today's topic is called Christian life, spiritual awkwardness. Hmm. So, well, you guys, you have to hand it. You have to hand it to John for his honesty in reporting his sin. That by the way, uh, the verse of today is, excuse me, Revelation 22:8-9. Yes, no, but, but, you almost wished it had not embarrassing, isn't it? There was a man There was a man who had seen it into throne room of the universe, a man whose eyes had seen spiritual wonders which no human had ever seen before, a man who had seen visions about the majesty of gods, the victory of the Lamb that we are that were most unspeakable, visions that could be hinted with the symbolism and the metaphor, yes, metaphor. A man who was an apostle and devoted pastor to churches in Asia Minor. Amen, somebody. No, it's who else than John. Hmm. John Revelation. And everything took place in a famous Greek island, Patmos. How many of you know that's out there? And of course, how many here in Greece have been there? I've been there. I've been there 11 years ago, I think. 12 years ago, 2010, with my church. I've been there. Oh, but time flies. It seems like yesterday, you know, trying to catch fun with my people in church. Hey, past memories. And now I'm seeing how to I'm finding how to convince my spiritual to go to Patmos, even me and him, my spiritual. I see how to convince him. Hey, God touch him, God help us. Help us, help my pastor, my spiritual generally. Amen, somebody. Okay, John, that man, and but then when this man falls down, you know, that man falls down to worship an angel. He knew better. Angels are created beings to know and to worship any created being constitute idolatry. It's a sad sight. You know, to be fair, To be fair to John, I should point out that he was guilty of a rather common sin among the people of rather than the God of the messenger. The messenger, be it an angel or a prophet or pastor or author or musician, is a concrete, often more immediately interesting than abstract gods. Too often we worship at the messenger's feet in the common, most convenient way, by lifting him or her into a pedestal. Mhm. Twice now, twice now. Somebody has been invited to attend the Christian Booksellers Convention. Excuse me. Yes, exactly. Christian Booksellers Convention. You don't have to be there long to discover the Christian world loves love its celebrities just as the secular world does. Hundreds of people queue and queuing to get autographs and pictures. More than once, I saw him praying, Lord, I hope you have a sense of humor. Hey, then you see John the Apostle doing the same thing. It's embarrassing. But it's also comforting in that way. Even an apostle had hard time getting his spiritual act together, you know. And this was the second time he made a mistake. In Revelation 19, we read that he did the same thing. I guess, he had a hard time getting it right. Can you imagine how he felt? Oh, yeah. Oh, sorry. I should have known better. I should have not know I was thinking. Awkward moment for a man. Isn't so? Mm. Also, Richard, somebody called Richard Mount put it. He suffered from spiritual dislocation. Yes, spiritual dislocation. I suppose you might have expected this sort of thing from someone that has been going through great suffering. You know, great suffering, say, or someone whom God has seen distant, or someone who has been plagued by spiritual doubts. But John remembered the vision he had just had. He was still in the spiritual mountaintop. Yeah. What a mount. What an experience. What an experience, by the way, incidentally. I saw envy. Seeing people, whoo, hey, in the mountain being revealed being revealed with awesome things. Yes, excuse me, revealing, revealing how including that John. I told you that man that has seen visions in a cage in Patmos. Hence the book of John Revelation. In the scriptures. Amen, somebody. So, no, that one is Awkward moments. That's what I'm saying. Another awkward moment even now. That's what I say. I always envy. I was jealous those people in the mountains. So very, very awkward situation. Oh, I think I think that we all go through spiritual awkwardness. I regularly feel kind of spiritual doubt, spiritual dislocation, When I hear people testifying, to the signs and wonders, I often want to crawl out of the pew. I don't exactly feel like a spiritual that I am a spiritual giant. You have, and to God be the glory, I'm standing on my feet. You know, I'm not a spiritual giant, though. I'm not. I'm a spiritual imbecile. I'm a spiritual Beethoven. Beethoven is a classical musician who was blind, and deaf, but he did wonders. You know, he was both blind, and deaf, but I repeat, he did wonders. You know, because he had will to do. Me, I have will. I'm spiritually blind, I'm spiritually deaf, but I want to stand on my feet and walk. And to be honest with you, I don't give a damn what will happen to me. I will fall, I will have accidents, I will die. Excuse me, sorry for what I did. I don't give a damn. If it's my destiny to fall and die, let me fall and die. I surrender to the hands of my destiny. Hey, I've never seen better preaching than that. Amen, somebody. Okay. Anyway, let's move ahead. Oh, excuse me. Let's go to my issue of my spiritual. His father was a pastor, and he could never ever come up with enough homework to get out of a Wednesday night, prayer meeting. After a Bible lesson, we would get down to our knees to pray for what it seemed an eternity. Hey, hmm. After a Bible lesson, yes, everyone else should pray until we sense it was a time to get up. If you feel like your knee is hurting you, yes. If you got tired of being on your knees, hmm. Sometimes it depends on environments. If you're tired of being on your knees, better take a pillow and put it and then kneel down on it. So, well, I always began with the best intention, but regularly I drifted off into sound sleep by myself. Everyone else should pray until the sense that it's time to get up. I repeat. So, and there I would be, um, how do you call it? Spread a lot of the chair. Hi! They must have a thought. My isn't done spiritual. I was embarrassing. You know? I was embarrassed. All those people seeking God while I'm sewing locks. Hey, people say to me, you know, woman of God, I really do have faith, but I feel uncomfortable praying out loud in front of others, including my humble self. Don't tell me to pray, hey, to pray out loud in presence of even here my own. I don't like praying out loud unless if I'm with others and others even with somebody, unless if I'm even with somebody, one person here, even online, the other end of line. Hey, but yet, aren't you guys scared that you wake up the neighborhoods? Hi, I see Henry Moore. Hello, Henry Moore. How are you? How are you, my brother? So, too much unnecessary talk. I can understand, you know. I haven't always found public prayer the easiest thing in the world. Mm. I never found it, honestly. You know. Once my spiritual has led the congregation in a Lord's Prayer and completely forgot the phrase. Forgive us our debts as forgive us our debtors. Mm. Forgive our trespasses as we forgive them that trespass against us. Mm. He went off he went from give us today our daily breads right straight to lead us not unto temptation and deliver us from the evil. So I myself then I sense every head in the sanctuary jacked up. Mm. Talk about embarrassment. I was years before I had the courage to preach. Yes. Years before I get the courage to preach, even online. You know, I got years until I learned the Lord's Prayer in English language. Since I was born, I know it only in Greek, my native tongue. Mm. It took me not years. Uh, it took me a little time, but it's recently I learned about Lord's Prayer without having it printed in front of me. Very awkward feeling. Mm. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. And so on. There is no time now to speak about that now. Hey, one Sunday morning, Uncle Harold fell deeply asleep after the call to worship. Hmm. As the ushers, in the church came forward for the offering, the pastor called on Uncle Harold to pray. So another Auntie Olive put her elbow into his ribs very firmly. Ah! He must feel very refreshed. Must have thought that he slept through all service. Maybe he was worn out. So he got up, and dismissed everybody. Hmm. Sometimes it's just hard to get it right. Even in our worship service, I believe, I believe worship is the most important thing we do. I try to lead the congregation in offering the very best to God in praise. I like things to be done well. Sometimes I wonder too if we have ever get it right. Amen, somebody. Hey, one Thanksgiving Eve, Eve communion service, my church, we had just started the first hymn, when the associate leaned over and whispered to me, you know, there's no bread on the table. There's there's no bread on the table. Yes. Images flashed through our minds. That ashes racing across the parking, to the grocery store. I tried to excuse me. I tried to think of alternative communion liturgies that don't include bread. In my panic, I got my eyes of someone in front of me, in front of me who had also seen the problem. With my eyes, I said, do something with my eyes. So No, sorry. She got up and went out. When it came the time for the offering, the ushers carried the plates forwards. I noticed. I noticed they were holding them very mm, strangely. Strangely. Mm. During the prayer of the dedication, you know, I picked and I never forget the sight of ushers chucking bread, chucking bread onto the table as fast as they could. I just it just hurt. It just hurt to get it right sometimes. You know. Somebody a few years ago, someone called Walter Van Gering preached out in a preacher in a church here in Athens. He's a wonderful preacher, a great storyteller. Hey, but it was a time for the Lord's Supper. You know, that famous Lord's Supper. There's a painting. There's also a painting with the Lord's Supper. With a long table. And by the way, when I was in my church newly, we had a program. We had a church program, and that time we had, but now it's long. It's long. We no longer have it. Space like a dining room in church. Dining room. That dining room. Uh, Everybody, the members of the church, pastors, guests, guests from other ministries, guest speakers. We sat on a long, narrow, long table, to eat. I named that one Lord's Supper, Secret Supper. No, no, it's not about that. Secret Supper number two. Místicos himnos número dio. His maybe it's the same thing. Welcome. It's the Lord's Supper, Secret Supper number two. Hey, past memories. Περασμένα μεγαλεία. Hey, that's one. Uh, Anyway, let me go back to the story in that church. Lord's Supper helped himself. After giving the elders and deacons the bread, they sat down. Then Walter leaned over and said, I think here there's a mold on the communion juice. Mold on the communion juice, we are taking, the depths of embarrassment. A nationally known guest speaker telling me that there is a mold on the communion juice. I said, let's switch sides. Sure enough, there were little bits of mold on top of juice of the cups. I did not know what to do. I tried to stand when nobody could see me and poke the mold out of, down into the juice. Um, I was just trusting that God I could be prevented from getting sick. Hmm. But but I discover that the mold does not sink. Well, a leader sometimes had to make a quick decisions. I could see there were so many cups affected. So as I set that trays aside, and which means we had the extra elder. I can still be see somebody standing there waiting for the tray. Amen, somebody. You know, you see. Hey, we had hard time in getting right. Annie Dillard in Teaching Stone comments, a high school stage play is more polished than the service we had been rehearsing since the year one. You know, in 2000 years, they had not walked out of gigs. They positively glorify men. Week after week, they witness the same miracle that God is so mighty, he could stifle his own laughter. Week after week, we witness the same miracle. God for the reason, um, for reason we know, for various reasons, refrains from blowing out dancing beer, act into sweetness, so to speak. Week after week, Christ washes the disciples' dirty feet, handles the very toe and repeats, all right, all those right, believe it or not, to be people. No wonder we feel spiritually awkward. We are. Even our highest moments of reverent praise and adoration, we blow it again and again. We are just people after all. Hmm. The problem is not just the externals. Our awkwardness had to do with a whole lot more than just getting fresh communion juice served up. Stumbling throughout public prayers, and having sound system go haywire, and forgetting to put water in a baptismal font. Excuse me. It is all awkwardness symbolizes a deeper, more serious awkwardness. The really embarrassing part of spirituality is that we cannot get right with the most important things. You know how it goes. You had a good time in prayer, sensed God's presence, and promised to be more like Christ, to be gentler, more sensitive person. But about 5 minutes after you say amen, you are irritated enough to punch lights out of a heavyweight champions because the baby has been crying for 15 minutes and no one in the house seems willing to help, even though you are trying to get a quiet time with God to become more spiritual person. Amen, somebody. Oh, what an issue. Oh, you pray for patience. You really sense the Lord speaking to you about this, and you ask for this fruit of the spirits, yeah, patience. But a while later, that day, you you know, sit down to balance a checkbook. After 2 hours, you finally discover the problem. Your brilliant husband has neglected to record the check and wrote for 137. Listen, you know that people have gone to divorce court for less than this. Amen, somebody. No. Or you earnestly pray for help, for wild fantasies. Your whole life has been getting out of hands, strained past, and A rating and X rating too much often. Do you know Do you know what any good Christian should do? You ask for forgiveness and pray for help, but even as you do not you start thinking specific thoughts you need deliverance from. Yep, those very interesting thoughts, and before long, you've pretty much forgotten about God. We all suffer. We all suffer spiritual dislocation. Had a hard time getting it right, bowing down before angels when we know better, awkward disciplines. You know, you understand? We're quite a bit like John, aren't we? Well, what happened to John? This is comforting part. He was not struck dead. He was just abandoned by totally disgusted angel. You know, he was not rep- reprimanded. He was simply reminded of a need to worship God alone. In other words, the angel was saying to him, don't focus to any created thing. Don't even focus to failure of yours. Focus only to God. You know, hey, you see, okay, let me see. Hey, what can I say? That's what worship is. It's turning our eyes away from all created things, turning our eyes away from even our failures in order to focus on God. The angel taught him to worship God. And then the angel immediately proceeded to give him instruction about what to do with his visions. The Lord is coming, he said. So get with it. There's a weakness. There's a witness to make a ministry to get done. The angels treat John a matter of fact, nonsense away. No time to glove around the guilt. Too much to do. Onwards. You know. Okay, it's like the message is almost done. So the time is it's time for me to go and rest because as you can see I barely keep my eyes open. Thank you for being with me. Thank you for listening here. Excuse me. Thank you for hearing me. God's willing, see you next week. Till then, remain blessed and remain in charge. Hmm.